About a year ago, I made a video called AQW Top 5 Farming Classes. With the recent release of a few good farming classes, I thought I'd remake that video for 2016. What's going on, guys? My name is Renegade, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at my top 5 best farming classes for Adventure Quest Worlds. Now before we get into the video, I'd like to ask you guys to leave any suggestions for any future top 5s you want to see in the future in the comment section down below. Also, while you're down there, leave a like on this video and subscribe. I'll definitely be doing more top 5s very soon. Coming in at number 5, we have Troll Spellsmith. The reason why I've chosen Troll Spellsmith is because of its high damage output. Troll Spellsmith essentially needs to just apply its buff, Sigil, 5 times, and then it can start dealing massive damage, mainly with its first ability, Energy Arc. This ability can deal about 4k crit on all enemies in the room when it crits, so this will one-hit enemies with small health. Any monsters not immediately killed with the first use of Energy Arc are usually killed by its other abilities or with a second whack of Energy Arc. However, when farming, you can consume quite a bit of mana, and to regen you must use Energy Drain, which then replenishes mana, but then makes you slower and deal significantly less damage. For reference, it brings the 4k crit that I mentioned before down to about 3k crit. In terms of Troll Spellsmith's survivability, it uses its Sigil to heal health. When you apply Sigil, it heals you for about 400 health, so you need to keep Sigil applied anyway, so you'll pretty much be healing normally while you're farming, but Sigil can really be quite lackluster in longer fights, so you actually do end up dying if you're not really careful or if you don't kill them quick enough. In 4th place, we have Paladin. Paladin class was recently buffed, so if you're now questioning my sanity, it's actually much stronger than it used to be. It used to be kind of weak, so just keep in mind that it's actually been buffed. The only reason why Paladin is here is because it's actually really strong against undead monsters. But if we're just talking about like non-undead monsters, then it's at number 4. So the reason for this, the reason why it's at number 4 is it's actually got pretty high damage anyway. Even when not attacking undead monsters, it can hit crits as high as 5 or even 6k with some abilities. Those abilities are 2 strong AoE abilities, the last and the 4th ability. And they usually finish off small health monsters very quickly, and even monsters with larger amounts of health are finished off at a pretty fast rate. Where Paladin runs into issues is its mana. If you're not careful, you can run out of mana, and if you are careful, Paladin isn't anywhere near as fast. So it's kind of a bit of a predicament there. In terms of Paladin's survivability, it's pretty sufficient. It uses a heal ability similar to oracles or healers. It is a healer/warrior crossover after all, and the heal only has a 6-second cooldown and can heal about 1k non-crit. At number 3, we have Daemon class. Daemon class is pretty new and it's really good at farming. It's much more reliable than the classes above, but it doesn't hit anywhere near the sort of crits that they get. But they really aren't bad. On its last ability, which has a 25-second cooldown, it can crit around 3k, which is enough to kill small monsters in one hit, so it's kind of nice to have there. Its other abilities, with obviously much smaller cooldowns, hit lower. The average crit would probably be about 1k, but the first ability also applies one of 2 DOTs, one of which is high but lasts a short amount of time, and the other is weaker but lasts longer. The cool thing is they can both be applied at the same time, which actually amounts to quite a bit of damage. The problem with the classes at number 4 and 5 in this list is they rely on high crits for their efficiency, whereas Daemon has reliable damage and a really reliable heal, which can heal about 750 health. It also has a chance to apply one of 6 effects, some of which are negative, but most are buffs, and some are HOTs, even after your initial heal. All of these factors combined make Daemon a really strong farming class. Now at number 2, we have a class that is so damn close to number 1, but it really just comes down to what you personally prefer. I personally prefer reliability over crazy crits, so I've put Shaman at number 2 instead of number 1. Just like Paladin, Shaman was recently buffed to make it much stronger than what it used to be, so keep that in mind. Shaman, for starters, only needs to use its first of 2 abilities when farming. The last 2 are kind of buff abilities, and they're kind of weird. You know, like the last ability applies an effect that makes all spells cast deal more damage. I actually don't know what it does. It's not important whatsoever. It consumes too much mana to even consider it here. But the first 2 abilities, one of which deals damage to 3 targets and applies Scorched Spirit. The next ability deals large damage to 3 targets, so it's about 2k crit, 2 to 3k crit there. And if Scorched Spirit is applied, it'll apply an HOT to the caster. And you'll keep in mind you're spamming these two abilities. They both have 4-second cooldowns and consume very little mana. Again, the crits are about 2 to 3k. That's on the second ability, and the first ability hits a bit lower. The damage when you're looking at the individual hits is quite low compared to other classes in this list, but the cooldowns are so low that it doesn't really matter. You're just applying them so often that it's actually pretty damn good. It's actually much more reliable than the other classes, even probably more reliable than Daemon. The only problem I can see with this class is the mana can drain pretty quickly. Like, the mana consumption is low on the individual abilities, the first two abilities I'm talking about here. But you are applying them every 4 seconds, so it pays to be a little bit careful, but it really isn't hard to prevent running out of mana. That's Shaman class coming in at number 2. For some quick honorable mentions that I thought of, classes that wouldn't quite make the list, but would be at, like number 6, 7, or 8, or something like that. They're Chaos Slayer, Abyssal Angel, Darkblood Storm King, Paladin Highlord, and Chunin, or Chunin. I probably forgot a class there, but those are just the classes that didn't quite make the list. And finally, at number 1, we have Blazebinder. Blazebinder is an absolutely ridiculous class on paper. Let me just start off with the fact that nothing can miss in this class except the auto attack. That's right, nothing can miss at all. The first ability is a guaranteed crit too, on top of the nothing can miss factor there. It hits around 500 on 3 targets and applies a small DOT. The second ability just applies a large DOT of around 400 on 3 enemies. The third ability is a strong HOT that can be infinitely looped if you just keep applying it. And the fourth ability is a nuke type ability that cannot crit but hits usually around 1.3k. The first ability has a 4-second cooldown, the second has an 8-second cooldown, the third has a 16-second cooldown, and the last has a 12-second cooldown. It's an absolute beast, it never runs out of mana or health, and just melts enemies away with those DOTs. That's going to be it for this top 5. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to see any more. If you disagree with anything in this list, make sure you let me know in the comment section down below, but be nice, this is all my own opinion. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.